Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Social Housing Roundtable wrap-up. It's very strange me actually running the session. I'm kind of usually getting very ready to pass on to somebody else quite swiftly, but it's lovely to see so many people join us so late in the year and be able to jump on and just engage really in terms of have a look back about what we've done this year, how far I guess the roundtable's grown. And I guess more importantly, just to say thank you to everyone who supported it and joined us and everything else through the year. So there are some slides, but I'm hoping they'll at least be a bit of fun that I can share. So I'm going to try and work out how to share. And there was an element of empathy today because I get everyone else to do this all year round, and I am not the best at working out how to do it. So I'm hoping this works because otherwise it's very embarrassing. Can someone tell me if we're working? Because that would be great.
It's working, Matt.
Fantastic. Lovely. Thank you very much indeed, Elaine.
What?
Yeah, welcome to, as I say, the Social Housing Roundtable wrap-up and Christmas quiz. To those who, I doubt anyone here is joining us for the first time, but there might be people who've only joined once or twice through the year. My name is Matt Baird. I'm the founder of the Social Housing Roundtable. Day-to-day, I work in recruitment. It is that recruitment arm that keeps this free and available for everybody. But the idea behind building this community, which I started during, the first lockdowns, was just to bring people together in the housing world to try and hopefully shape and change and discuss, I guess, some of the key issues that we're having, but discuss them a bit more authentically than sometimes you get the opportunity to do so when it's conference season or other things. And I've mentioned some excellent conferences I've been to, and there's others where sometimes you hear from the panel and don't get a chance to really engage and ask questions. So that's what this roundtable's been all about, and I'm hoping that many of you have enjoyed joining us over the course of this year, and will enjoy some of the points to share. So some of the key stats. I've put on the left there the QR code, so if anyone's not on the mailing list or wants to find the recordings or anything, feel free. Done 53 roundtables last year, which I didn't realise until yesterday when I was running through. So this is number 54. But having done 53 of them this year, I can tell you right now that was too many. I joke, but it's been a lot. And having done more than one a week has been a fairly mammoth task. But I think we've had a hell of a lot of insight that's come through, which is fantastic. Come on. So yeah, more than 1,750 attendees. I haven't worked out the exact number because I was trying to go back through and some people register and deregister and other things. But it's around the 1,750, 1,800 mark, which is just nuts. I think that's about nearly 1,000 up from last year. So thank you to everyone for that. Deli Fattingisi, who's just joined us, has been to the... Oh, is she gone again? She was here a second ago. No, there she is. Fantastic. She has attended, I think it was something like, I was looking through, more than 85% of the roundtables, which is absolutely mad. So a huge thank you to you for coming to so many this year. I've been to 27 conferences and events in 2024 and spoke at 19 of them. So thank you to those who've kept me busy with those. And Alex, I am looking at you. So thank you to those who've invited me to speak, who've done live roundtables, who've sponsored sessions, who've done a huge range of things through the course of this year. It's been absolutely amazing. We've had 90 speakers this year across the 53 roundtables, which again has broken previous records by quite some way. We've done sessions where we've had 3 or 4 people speaking. We've had sessions where we've had 1 or 2. But I think what's been amazing is that it's been really, really broad. 63% female this year in terms of speakers coming through, and 14% non-white. So it's something we're looking at next year in terms of trying to improve the diversity of non-white speakers. But we've always been... It's been something where people just reach out to me and say, hey, Matt, can I speak? And what's amazing is that we tend to get a lot of particularly women who've never spoken on panels before, never spoken in sessions before, saying, hey, look, can I come and do a session with you? And then I find 6 months or a year later, they're suddenly doing a CIH or an NatFed conference or another conference, and it's fantastic to see. And they say that it's a nice way to break down those barriers. And one new head of partnerships. She hates this slide because her face was too large on it, but that's what she told me beforehand. So Elaine came on this year. I'm going to pass to Elaine in just a moment, but basically, Elaine and I met for a coffee, although I hate coffee. We met for a coffee to basically go, Elaine had left her role, and she'll share more in a moment. Matt, I don't know what I want to do next. And we got on really well, and we had it was a sober day, which was a little bit, fine. And then literally 24 hours later, said, can I help grow the roundtable? I was like, sure. So as you've seen from the stuff I've put there, 11 years in social housing, 8 years after that with Housemarque and Mobisoft, a phenomenal consultant doing some brilliant work out there. But Elaine, I'll pass over to you to kind of go, what made you persuade to come and join this crazy train? But also, I guess, what have you been proud of this year, and what do you want to do over the course of the next 12 months? I'll pass over to you.
Oh, thank you, Matt. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with Matt over the last kind of 6 months as kind of head of partnerships. And I guess the reason um, why I muscled my way in on this gig was because when Matt and I met, I think one of the things was I was toying with the idea of being a consultant, but I didn't know whether I wanted to be that and whether I'd be okay without a team. It's really difficult. It's quite lonely at times, and I thought, how can I still kind of really help people take what's really good and better? And I guess that's what I do in my consultancy business, but it's what I certainly aim to do within the Social Housing Roundtable. And actually coming into the Social Housing Roundtable felt as though like I got a new a proper job, just one that I invited myself to have rather than got asked to join. And really, I saw a lot of potential, and Matt has done a fantastic job. And I'm sure you will all agree that over the last few years, and I can never remember how many, so I will just say yonks, over the last few years, the community that he has, that I have adopted, it has really grown from strength to strength. And the quality of the conversation and the diversity of the kind of thought and voice in a space where people are absolutely happy and comfortable to disagree, but kind of politely and it from the best place, is fantastic. And I think, what I said to Matt was, I think I can help you elevate this. I joke with Matt that 2025 is about world domination, but I'm not fully joking. I think we can make um, it bigger and it even better. And I think part of that is how we bring on the right partners and the right sponsors to help us keep this free for everyone to attend, because Matt and I do it out of the kind of kindness of our hearts. But we do need to kind of cover our costs, which is really important. But also really thinking about the kind of topics, speakers, and how we grow our audience. So, do recommend us to friends, family, whoever is interested in joining the debate. We are kind of open to all and free for all, and that's what's really important. So yeah, for me, it was just, how do I take all this knowledge and passion that I have for the social housing sector, having been on both sides, working in a housing association, but also a supplier to the sector, and how do I make this platform go from good to great? And I think coming up with the strapline with Matt around creating a community from the conversations that matter is really important to us. And actually, we're not afraid to shy away from some really uncomfortable and heart-wrenching topics at times, where people feel as though they're sharing their own personal stories as well as their lived experiences, but also kind of trying to be thought-provoking and future-looking as well. So I'm really proud to be part of the community, but also kind of really proud to be working with Matt. He has become a bloke I knew because he spoke at lots of conferences, to a friend, and that has been brilliant. So he's stuck with me now, and so are you. So that's my closing message there, Matt. You know, that's it. But absolute pleasure, and I can't wait to see where we go in 2025. And I know that we're already talking about some really exciting partnerships and collaborations and speakers, but I won't spoil your kind of last slide, Matt.
Thanks very much. And to anyone who was watching my screen during that, you probably saw me look incredibly uncomfortable. I don't. It's an odd one. I don't like hearing compliments about the roundtable. I just like to do it. So it's having somebody there constantly championing the corner and championing the cause has been amazing. So yeah, definitely become a really good friend, but also someone I think sometimes you go, right, Matt, what are you doing next? I was like, I don't know. Let's just work it out. Now we have direction. It's fantastic. So the other new person who's come on this year, some of you may have seen some posts from her on the Social Housing Roundtable LinkedIn group and through some of the posts. And Megan Mailer's come on. I get support through something called Access to Work. To those who joined Janine Green's Social Housing Roundtable session a year and a bit ago, 18 months ago. Access to Work was something that's available for people with any neurodivergence or with any disabilities of any form, and it can provide additional admin support or other support in many, many different guises. And Megan's come on. She is a She's an online business manager. She's a digital marketer. She's an exec administrator. She tells me if I've missed something, and she's absolutely brilliant. So you'll probably see more from Megan as we continue through 2025. So the download stats of 2024, we've had nearly 3,000 downloads via Spotify and Amazon this year, which was pretty nuts to look at. Our top 3 sessions of the year was on Spotify and Amazon were shared ownership, the rise in temporary accommodation, and where are we going wrong with damp and mold. Weirdly, none of these are the top 3 in the YouTube sessions, but all 3 of those landed really, really well this year. We've had nearly 5,500 views on YouTube, which again is kind of crazy numbers, but amazing. The top 3 were in conversation with the Ombudsman, which I thought would be top for both, but wasn't quite. The professionalism, conduct and competency consultation, which we ran with the CIH, and then lived experience and its importance in executive recruitment. So those were the top 3 for each side through the course of this year. But there were some incredible sessions that aren't on that list, but were absolutely fantastic. And I want to say a big thank you to our sponsors from this year. So before this year, I'd never had anybody sponsor a session before. This whole thing started with with WHG actually coming to me and saying, "Hey Matt, can we do 4 sessions next year, please?" This was about 12 months ago. We're doing a lot of work in health and housing. Can we come on and do a couple of sessions? I was like, "Yeah, of course you can. No worries at all." I said, "Okay, what do we owe you?" I'm like, "What do you mean owe me? I don't charge. Just crack on." And they said, "No, we're gonna, if you're gonna be doing this, we need to be paying you." So we arranged a small fee, and on they came and did their 4 sessions. And that was quite quickly followed by Alertical, who said, "Look, we want to do some sessions, but we also want to kind of have that name in each one and really kind of advocating for support you in any way that we can and help grow it in whatever way we can." So I'm hugely grateful to Alertical for being the yearly sponsor. Next came the CIH, who, again, they were so busy with events and conferences and everything else. Rachel Williamson came along and said, "Hey, Matt, can we run some?" And then it was the year of consultations and various other things. So we ran a number of those through the roundtable, and our most recent one with those was 16 Days of Action, of Activism, which was absolutely fantastic. And I think if anybody did miss that, please go back and listen. But we've had True Compliance, Elahan Consulting, Bridge Housing Solutions, Devonshire's and TPX Impact, all sponsored sessions this year. And I genuinely can't thank you all enough, because it's just meant that I can bring on Elaine and I can do other things this year that will allow us to grow it and continue to promote the voice of the sector. So kind of I had a quick look and tried to have a think back really of what my learnings of the year were, because it's a big challenge. And last year, I think I said the word of the year last year was culture, and I was trying to do one this year and there wasn't really one. And culture is still a massive one. But accountability, engagement, regulation and data were probably the top 5. I think it was one of those where I could have also had AI, could have had tech, could have had resident engagement and everything else, but I've kept it as engagement, I've kept it broad. Culture is still one of those things that's hugely talked about, both from a recruitment side and a retention side, but also generally. Accountability has been something that I've heard, we've had more residents than ever attend sessions this year, and it's something you constantly hear is that need to be accountable, and that focus on actually housing providers being places where, you know what, if you're going to get it wrong, we're not expecting you to get it right 24/7, but we need you to put your hand up and tell us what you're going to be doing next. Engagement is absolutely huge. Obviously, this was a massive push from the beginning of the year from the Ombudsman and the regulator. But also, I think in general, through the consumer standards and everything that's come through, the way we engage, not just with residents, but also with each other and our internal teams is absolutely massive. And you're seeing that through some of the assessments that are coming out for both local authorities and housing providers over the course of this year. Regulation almost goes without saying. I think the sector is probably more regulated now than it ever has been, and the challenges that will come with that. And data, I've joked a few times with people over this roundtable and other things. I did sessions. I mean, I can see Claire Patterson on the call. We did a roundtable about 2-3 years ago with data, and we maybe have 15-20 people come. Now we'll regularly get 70, and there'll be 5-6 different data conferences, including the Hive Live, through the course of the year. And it's busier and busier and busier. And I don't think, certainly can't see that slowing down in any way, shape or form. Working with the Ombudsman and the regulator is probably my other thing to take away from this year. I think people have got wary of the way that the Ombudsman powers grew and the regulator's powers grew, and the influence that's maybe being shared. On the flip side of it, I think the Ombudsman and the regulator, we needed more regulation in the sector, and something had to change because there were so many problems continually occurring that if we didn't change it, we were only going to get worse and worse. I think what's interesting now is that synergy between the two is getting better, and I think it's the Ombudsman and the regulator are also starting to go, well, actually, how do we work better with RPs? Because we've come in with a bit of a stick, and now we maybe need to take a bit of a step back. But also, the findings that are coming out and some of the clarifications are really shocking the sector. And I think people are really going, this is exactly why we need more regulation. Campaigns this year. So Hear Her Voice. So that was Tracy McCuckern came on from Wish beginning of the year talking about the Hear Her Voice campaign. One of the things that's really stuck with me is the fact that if you have a conference panel or if you have a session and the first 3 speakers are men, women are 80% less likely to speak at all in the session, which is why it's always fantastic that we get such a huge volume of female speakers, but also female attendees on the roundtable. It's always a table, we always get more women than men. That's never been something I've aimed or stroved for or anything like that, but it just always has been, and it's fantastic. And then Choose Housing. So she doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to try and get Ellie Holt on the roundtable next year to talk about her Choose Housing campaign. As someone who works in recruitment and retention is a massive part of what I do, I think Choose Housing is a phenomenal campaign for her to be focusing on, and I'd love to work with her to try and get her on. But if you're not following what she's doing in that space, please do, because it's fantastic. Other campaigns, so as I said, WHG came on to do 4 sessions on health and housing. Some really fascinating learnings from there in terms of health and housing partnership working and what's going on. Stop Social Housing Stigma. If you're not following Mercy Denido and what the team over there are doing, please do, because they're doing some incredible work. And then this was a more kind of, I guess, general one around consultation and the resident voice. I've never seen quite so many consultations take place as did maybe in the first 3-4 months of this year. There was always a consultation going on with something. It's part of the reason why the CIA said, hey, Matt, can you help? Get the voice out and really share what's going on. Almost all of them seem to be going through in some shape or form, though we're still waiting for final clarification on what's going to happen with the professionalism standard. But there's also been that campaign around the resident voice, and actually the respect attached to it is much greater than it's ever been. I'd love to see that continuing, particularly with residents on boards. I'll never forget something Kai Jackson said to me a while ago. We were at a conference, and she said, I love being a board member. I just don't want to be a tenant board member. I don't know why I have to have that stigma attached. I'm either a board member or I'm not. And I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done in that space still. In terms of other learnings, recruitment and retention are more important than ever. Obviously, this ties in with Ellie Holt's campaign, but the way in which we recruit, the way in which we attract talent, the idea that you can just put up an advert and find the best people, it doesn't work anymore. I think lots and lots of people are struggling. This is something I could obviously talk about for ages, but there's lots that we can look at in terms of diversity of interview panels, what we're really doing around EDI. Are we just saying that, oh yeah, we welcome people from all backgrounds, because it doesn't make a difference having that statement? What are we actively doing to get people from different backgrounds into our businesses? And in terms of retention, people just want to be in businesses where they really feel they're still making a difference and not being burned out. And that isn't an easy balance to strive, but it's come up time and time again over the course of this year. And people are doing some amazing work in terms of really trying to change the way the culture of their businesses are to retain their own staff. And it's been really fascinating to watch that through the course of 2024. Personally, I've provided more than 40 new positions this year, including 2 CEOs and a housing director, though I can't say much about the housing director because they don't start to the beginning of next year. But I've now joined Spire House, which a number of people have asked me about. So I'm still self-employed, but I now partner with Spire House, which is run by 2 friends of mine. They help provide just an all-round more supportive service from the recruitment element, but also from the roundtable element. And some of the advice and support and guidance they've offered has been incredible. So hugely grateful to Luke, Jack, Kim, and the team over there for what they're hopefully going to help us do over 2025 as well. Conferences are vital if run well, but EDI and tenant representation is bigger than ever. A special shout out to the Housing Community Summit and the HDN conferences for this year. There have been a lot that have been absolutely brilliant, but those are just 2 that have really stood out, both from tenant representation, but also from an EDI perspective. I was on the scrutiny panel for the Housing Community Summit, and it came up every single session. Where are we with EDI? Who have we got? What can we do? How can we improve outreach? It is so constantly on the mind, and it's fantastic to see. And the HDN conference, to those who, I ended up getting basically a last minute ticket. It was the day before, hey Matt, look, can you make it tomorrow? I was like, well, yeah, okay, I'll come along. It blew me away actually in terms of the diversity of thought in that conference. It was absolutely superb. So if you are looking at either of those 2 for next year, they are 2 that I would say you can't miss. And then finally, 2025 will be a big year for AI and data. I've already mentioned about data, but it's going to get stronger and stronger, and that idea of the golden thread is changing all the time. And I think the perception of it, you look at what Housing Digital Conference coming up next year, they've moved from Edgbaston to one of the big centres in the middle of Birmingham. All data conferences are going to grow. The AI conference is going to grow. And I think AI is this term which people are still finding out actually what it means and what it looks like, and the difference is it's changing all the time in and of itself. So what we need to do there and what that needs to look like through the course of this year, I wouldn't be surprised at all to have AI as the word of the year for next year, but it'll be interesting to see how it develops in the social housing space, because we're not always the best at moving with the times. And my final one is it's really difficult out there. I know there's a lot of people who work in housing on this space that are probably A, knackered, and B, going, Matt, you've just put in a few things there. Look how much we've got to cover. Never mind the plethora of other topics we've got. It's really difficult, and I just hope people can give themselves a bit of a break. This is not an easy job. We're trying to professionalize at the same time. We're trying to do other things, but there is so much to balance. There are so many different people working in different ways. There's a huge swathe of next people that I'd love to see leading housing associations and leading businesses that I think have some magnificent ideas, but we've got to listen to them. My biggest frustration in the housing space is how many people become consultants because they're not being listened to. Go off, leave the sector, become consultants, come back and say exactly the same thing for 5 times more the money. That isn't a dig at you, Elaine, in the slightest.
You, Matt.
But it's continuing.
No, and I agree. I agree as well. I think, we need to, I think to your point, it's about how we keep work exciting, engaging, but also fair, and we kind of bring on talent, and we don't necessarily just promote people because they've been in jobs for a really long time. We look to kind of new talent, and we encourage people to move on and move forward and move faster. So I think there are lots of really good consultants out there though, and I don't necessarily want all the good ideas to come from good consultants. I want them to be born out of and in the sector at the same time.
There are so many that are, but just don't get listened to because someone is somewhere at the top going, I know how to do it. But then we bring people into consultants and suddenly our mindset on how they are perceived shifts. And it's a really interesting and definitely a thing we need to change there. Yes. So in terms of January, January's already booked. I think half of February is already booked and some of March is already booked. So if people do want to get involved over the course of the next year, please say. But so 7th of January, we have Becky Tucker from House of Risk back. For those who know, she's kicked off the last 2 years. She does a deep dive into the sector risk report. It's a brilliant session. It really covers kind of the key things from the risk side of it. Thank you very much, Sarah. And it's one of those where it's always a really important session just to get people into the mindset of, okay, Christmas is over, New Year's over, let's go. So I really enjoy Becky coming on every year. 14th of January, Alert to Call is sponsoring a few more sessions for next year, and they'll be carrying on sponsoring us until about March time. But they've brought on a lady called Rachel Holiday. So she does an awful lot of work in the improving solutions with homelessness space and everything to do with it. She's also got some really harrowing stories to share, unfortunately, from the homelessness perspective, and people who were homeless, maybe put in temporary accommodation, left, no one knew about them, and unfortunately deaths occurred, including of, unfortunately, a really young child. It's going to be a really powerful session, but I think what it's also going to do is really showcase why there needs to be improving solutions in homelessness, what we're doing in that community, and why we need to really look at what we're doing to not stigmatise and everything else in that community. So I urge everyone who can to please join us then. 21st of January, so someone might have seen the other day, so Duncan Palmer from Platform Housing, who I know quite well, he put up a post about managing WIP and social housing repairs, and the topic absolutely blew up on his LinkedIn page. Thousands and thousands and thousands of engagement, hundreds of comments, lots of people wanting to engage. And so I know Duncan, I just reached out and he said, I was just looking for a bit of advice from the sector. I said, mate, do you want to do a roundtable? He said, that would be fantastic, because then I can invite everyone who's engaging with this to come on and we can really, truly get into the nuts and bolts of it. So that'll be a really fascinating session. I'm delighted that Duncan's going to be joining us. And finally, so SureServe are going to be sponsoring some sessions with us next year, which is fantastic. They've done a report recently on warmer homes. So we're going to be talking about challenges and solutions for creating warmer homes. Again, it's going to be a very open discussion. So that's our January programme. Hope you can join us on some of those, but just wanted to get you aware of it as soon as possible. Just leaving this slide up for a minute to anyone who hasn't done it yet. So we do have a 2024 survey. We're genuinely using this. It's something we're using to shape next year's program and everything that will be with it. We've got about 90 responses so far, but there's a £100 M&S Christmas hamper being donated by Spirehouse. So if you'd like to jump on that one, either use the QR code, fill in the website, reach out to me if you haven't got it. I think closing date is Thursday, if I'm right, because then we can make sure we can get the camper out before Christmas. So yeah, if you'd like to get involved with that, please do. We'd love to hear from you. And feedback is one of those where it's always a challenge to try and get feedback, but it's the only way we can kind of really shape it around what everyone would like to have. So that one's for yourselves, and hopefully you can join us on and fill in that one in as soon as possible.
This episode of the Social Housing Roundtable is sponsored by Alertical. Alertical helps as many people as possible feel safe, connected and informed by combining ingenious technology and award-winning human contact. Alertical's digital engagement solution helps social landlords proactively know their customers and properties by putting a portable touchscreen in every home, offering a daily property check through the optional OK Each Day service, plus repairs reporting, tenant surveys and much more. They also provide Beyond Warden Calls, an easier, simpler and lower cost wireless warden call solution with video door entry, dispersed telecare and smoke alarms. Alertical works with over 60 housing providers across the UK to enhance two-way engagement between customers and landlords. In 2022, Alertical won the Queen's Award for Enterprise and Innovation, and in 2023 won Housing Supplier of the Year. I'm delighted to have them as our sponsor of the Social Housing Roundtable throughout 2024.
Slide. So, Christmas quiz. This is where now I can actually engage. But what I'm going to do is a couple of points in the chat that I just want to kind of look through first. So, where are we? So, Merry Christmas to Jim. Thank you very much for that one, Jim. Who's also said, has anyone read the article by Paul Hackett on the under the radar changes to community benefit societies law and how it could and would complicate life for HAs? Brought in during the intro of ABS law and the introduction to homesteads. I haven't, but I'll have a look at that one. Alex has shared the link for the LinkedIn page for the Housing Community Summit, so do please go and get involved there. Yeah, I know about the consultancy thing, Hannah. It's one of those. Julie Steele, we had a very interesting conversation in Northern Ireland with our CIH Futures last week, how young professionals don't aspire to those leadership roles because of the stress, workload and work-life balance that comes with it. Thought it was really insightful and what to look into this further in 2025. Absolutely agree, particularly when we have a huge shortage of people coming through the sector. I was at the Harrow School, of all places, for the Asset Management Investment Program conference with last week. And actually, they were talking about we're going to be losing 25 to 30% of the workforce in the next 10 years, particularly in construction and maintenance. Housing is not in a place to fill that gap. We're going to have 20% of the workforce, I think, in 10 years is going to be Gen Z. We're not set up in the right way to maybe engage with people in that way. What are we doing to work in those spaces? So I think that's going to be really fascinating. Liz Williams, we don't have time for defensiveness in housing. Child and adult mortality rates are the worst she's ever seen. We have to own our failures and present solutions to stop the decline in service provision. People should be able to speak out and they're not. It's an outrage we have gagging orders to prevent true transparency. Claire, I'm a consultant and I started doing it because I felt disillusioned, although I tried to keep my fees fair, but I've noticed a difference in how much people listen to me now. It appears that if we pay people a salary, we behave like their ideas are optional and doubtful. But the extra money we pay consultants means we can't afford not to listen. It's such a shame because we're missing things. However, I also think there's a place for consultants who can specialise in subjects, freeing up time for those to get on with business as usual. Couldn't agree more. Absolutely advocate for consultants. There's an absolute space for them. The only thing that frustrates me is that we lose good people from the housing space to become them, but it's where we are. So Hannah said, great point, humility and important emotion to enable growth and learning. And there's a bit of an old boys networking consultancy too. It's a strange one. I'm finding actually there is, but I'm seeing so many more female consultants than I've ever seen before. And I think that's changing. So it'll be interesting again to see how that progresses through 2025. So on to some more fun stuff. Now that was all a little bit sad and depressive, so apologies for that. So I can't remember how many questions there are. I think it's 15. Some are hard, some are easy. I think 4 of them are social housing based, and if anybody gets them, you get bonus points for them. But let's see how we get on. So In Home Alone, where are the McAllisters going on vacation when they leave Kevin behind? And this is your if you've bought one or you've brought one on by the way and you've got a Christmas tipple, feel free. I've only got a very small one because I've got my springboard meeting this evening for thing, but I'm going to have a little Christmas tipple because I said I would. And it's 11:30 the week before Christmas, so surely that means at some point we can start slowing down. I don't know. Number 2. In which modern day country was St. Nicholas born? I feel like I should have Christmas music or something on in the background. It's very quiet at my end. I don't know whether it's just me. Jim, jot your answers down, buddy, and then we'll go through the answers at the end, mate. Question 3. So it's a social housing question. Which European city won the 2024 RABA International Prize for its recent social housing development? Barcelona, Rome, Athens, or Milan? And do go and have a look at this if you've not had a look before, because it's absolutely stunning. And just go show that social housing doesn't have to be just, buildings thoroughly showing up. There's some absolutely incredible stuff out there. Question 4. I didn't know this one before today. Which country created eggnog? Elaine face it all. No, I didn't know either. It's fine.
I don't think I like eggnog. I don't
I
like the concept. I don't like eggnog. Someone's asking whether you're drinking sherry, Matt. Strong Ribena. Is that what it is?
It's port. Port is always my
Port.
Christmas choice. I'm a Navy. It said my dad's a Marine, my brother's in the Navy, stepdad's Navy. It's a thing. So I don't like sherry. Not a fan.
I didn't see the full glass. I thought you had a little tiny glass. I was thinking, is he drinking sherry?
Is he drinking? I think I'd rather go sherry over port, Matt, to be honest.
But I'm not a fan. 5 was what was the name of Kwejo Tweniboa's book released this year? It was an interesting one actually. I remember being in Portugal, not Portugal. When I went to Turkey this year, and we tried asking for like a port or some kind of fortified wine. They looked at me like I'd read. They're like, we don't know what you're talking about. So maybe it is me. Maybe if I'd asked for sherry, it'd have been all right. Question 6. What's the name of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's new Christmas movie? I will always call him The Rock. He is not Dwayne Johnson. Yes, I was a teenage wrestling fan. It's fine. Came out a couple of weeks ago, I think. It's all right. 7. According to the song, what did my true love give to me on the 8th day of Christmas? Now I watch people try and sing the song to themselves as they're going through.
Not got a clue. I get to 5 gold rings and stop. That's the best bit.
I think that's where most people get to. 8. What is the name of the last ghost to visit Scrooge in A Christmas Carol? Question 9. Which county, social housing question, which county topped the UK list for most office to housing conversions this year? I did have this as multiple choice and I haven't done the multiple choice. Maybe I should find those. I don't know where they are. Hang on. Bear with me, caller.
Who produces such a top, like a list of that?
Well, I don't recall, but I will find out.
Top 10 Christmas films.
The options, here we go. So I do have I mean, this might change your answer, but my A, B, C, and D for this is Derbyshire, Tyne and Wear, Cornwall, or Norfolk. And Alex will probably shout at me for the way I pronounce Tyne and Wear, but that's fine.
That was absolutely spot on, Matt.
Yes.
No problem with that at all.
There we go. Look at that. Oh, Hannah's just put planners, Elaine. So yeah, probably planners, isn't it?
Probably. It's not a journal I subscribe to, but I shall. I love a list.
Derbyshire, Tyne and Wear, Cornwall, or Norfolk. 10. Who wrote "Christmas doesn't come from a store, maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more"? No way I'm drinking all that port before a board meeting. I'm steaming. It ain't until like 5:30. Like I've got time.
After 53, 54 online social housing roundtables, Matt, I think we'll allow you a nap this afternoon if you need one.
Have a tipple to go right. I'm at the end.
Yeah.
Question 11. What was the first company to use Santa Claus in TV advertising? Again, just some interesting stuff that came up. But then you know me, I love a quiz.
Turns out I am rubbish at quizzes. I haven't got a clue. I don't even know what The Rock's new film is. But
But then if you're not following, I can't remember if it's Netflix or Amazon, one or two, then you might not.
or like histories of former wrestlers.
I mean, I'm still watching wrestling, so it's quite sad. 12. How many tips on a traditional snowflake? Elaine, the look on your face every time I ask a question is somewhat disheartening.
You know what? It's because my brain goes, well, what's a modern snowflake?
Okay,
Like my brain goes, well, what's the difference between a
well,
traditional
don't
snowflake
get started with what a modern
and who's
snowflake is. Some kind of
categorizing them?
discussion. Someone starts saying what's a modern snowflake and go down a right-wing ethos of whatever else we're going
Christmas
on.
quiz. Christmas quiz context really important.
13. What was the first Christmas song broadcast from space? No, actually, I could have put what was the first song. But I found out it was actually the first song happened to be a Christmas song. To anyone who attended the Wish Birmingham Christmas event, then they'll actually know that one because I asked a couple of these on that one. But I appreciate not many of you are Birmingham based. Or maybe not members of Wish. If you're not members of Wish, please do. It's cracking. Really, really good. 14. How many homes have Labour committed to building over the next 4 years? I don't know if that includes the ones they potentially built over the last 3 months, but you know, over the tenure, as it were. Well, in about 3 years' time, say how many did they actually build? And I'd be stunned if those numbers match. That me being a cynic? Don't know. And I think the last one is a nearest two, and I will give nearest two on it because it was a bit. It was meant to be a tiebreak, and then I just realised that tiebreaks might be quite hard on the Zoom thing.
Matt, sorry, can I just jump in? Is this a trick question? Do you mean the next 5 years or the next 4 years?
5. Yeah, it's
Okay, because I started doing like subtractions and stuff, right?
no over
Right.
there.
Did you have a pre-Christmas quiz writing, Matt?
No, I didn't. No, thank you, Elaine. Cheers. I just always go
What
as
we're
many.
here for? Teamwork.
It's how long is a election cycle? Depends on how long they want it to be, I guess. Yeah, and then the last one was in what year was the Night Before Christmas poem published? Which I've realised I haven't written down the answer for, so I'm going to go Google. So that's fine. I think I know it. Right, we'll go through some answers. Yes, have got it. Cool. Right. Oh, no. Oh, I didn't do the answer. Right, okay, fine, we'll read them out. In Home Alone, the McAllisters were going to, feel free to put stuff in the chat in terms of answers. I'll see if anybody gets it right. Or shout it out. Yeah, they'll go to Paris. Well, Alex, I'll take France.
Yes. They put New York. I was like, shit. Oh, I mean, nightmare.
I thought it was New York as well. For some reason. Are they from New York?
We're no longer PG friendly. There it is. Or you're
New York.
you're allowed one if it's under 13s, I think it is.
The second one's
got
New
New
York,
York.
isn't it? Yeah.
In what modern country was St. Nicholas born? Was Turkey.
Turkey.
Mm-hmm. Kevin was lost in New York City in the second one. He met Trump, didn't he? Which is a bit unfortunate. 3, in what European city won the prize, etc.? Barcelona.
Got that.
Barcelona.
I got that.
Stunning. Definitely go and have a look at that. It's a stunning building and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that.
4, which country created eggnog? It was us.
Holland.
No, it was the UK. It was the UK. I think it was England specifically, but it was the British. Yeah, exactly that. And that we created eggnog, but of course we did because we just put anything in a drink and add alcohol and we'll drink it because that's what we are as a country. What was the name of Quajo's book? Did anybody get this? Because this was a double point with one.
I thought it was Journey Home or something like that. Sure.
It's Our Country in Crisis.
It is Our Country in Crisis.
Yay.
Yeah, I hope you got that one. Yes, absolutely. So double points for that one. What was the name of Dwayne The Rock Johnson's new Christmas movie? Red One. Yes, Jade. Yes, Red One.
And it's out today.
I watched it on Netflix like at the weekend.
Oh, well, it's out today in cinemas.
No, isn't it?
Pre-release? I don't know. But yeah, it's
Wrestling with my conscience.
he is an elf, but elf stands for like elite something force. They are the protectors of Santa in some kind of bodyguards. It's a thing. It's fine. According to the song, what did my true love give on the 8th day of Christmas? Oh, is it Amazon? Thank you to Mark. Thank you very much. You got
Eight
Made milking.
there we are. Getting some voices here in this fantastic. Yes,
I thought there was
eight
going to be a sing song then. Where we were going to work it
Yeah,
out.
eight swans are swimming.
8 Milton milking.
That's better.
11 swans are swimming. 6 geese are laying.
If you know all the words, fair play. Fair play. I do not. What was the name of the last ghost to visit Scrooge?
Yet to come.
Yeah, it's the Christmas yet to come.
Yeah, the future.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I always thought it was the ghost of the future or something, but no, it's the ghost of Christmas yet to come. So,
In the original version.
yeah.
Definitely lost now.
Just a bit of background noise there, but yeah, no, Alex has just put, I thought it was genuinely milking, not our milking.
I thought the same.
I'm glad.
Maybe it's like our accents.
It might be, yeah. I'm milking.
Yeah, the backcountry version.
Which county topped the UK list for most office to housing conversions?
I put East Croydon, but I'm not sure what county it was.
It was Cornwall. Cornwall,
Yeah.
in turn. Loads of offices down there apparently that just aren't being used anymore because it's all been bought up by people who don't work there anymore. They're all holiday homes. So yeah, Cornwall did loads of office to housing conversions, which I was like, oh, well done, Cornwall. Nearly my home county, just on the cusp. Who wrote Christmas doesn't come from a store? Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more.
Amazon.
Dr. Zeus. It's
Oh, yeah.
God, what's he called? The Grinch. Goodness me. Took a second. Yes, Mercy. Dr. Zeus. Probably tell from the rhyme. The first company to use Santa Claus in TV advertising?
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. Standard. Go with the obvious sometimes. Go with the obvious answer. How many tips on a traditional snowflake?
6.
6.
12. 12.
6.
6. No.
Sorry, Jim. Feel like I'm upsetting you when I say something different.
Not at all. God, thicker skin than that, mate.
Good. 6 tips on the snowflake. The first Christmas song broadcast from space?
Jingle bells.
Wish you a Merry Christmas.
Jingle bells.
Well done.
Was it?
Yeah.
That was a guess.
Well done.
Need to get you down to the Midlands to do a quiz. You're not bad at this. You'd have won the Wish Christmas quiz by yourself, I'm telling you. How many homes have Labour committed to building over the next X amount of years?
I put 33,000.
1.5 million.
Oh, over there, yeah, God, I'll forget.
1.5 million. Yeah. We'll see. I think.
I don't think they'll do it.
I thought they revised it. That's why I put 30. I thought they meant a year.
No, they haven't quite done the Tory U-turn yet, but I would expect that number. And in what year was the Night Before Christmas poem published? Any guesses?
1800s. About 1827, 24, 23, something like that.
It was 1823. Alex, you're 3 years. Mark, 130 years out. Cheers for at least putting something in the chat. So yeah, that was, it turns out, quite an old poem. So I'm going to put that up there. If you want to do anything with the roundtable next year, either feel free to email myself or the roundtable email address, which Elaine kindly set up and sorted out and everything else, because this is exactly why Elaine's with us, because do that, and it was really useful. Yeah, do put however many you got right in the chat, because it'd be interesting to know how many people got. But I think it's just been interesting to, I guess, share some of this with you. I don't normally have our guest speaker. I've basically broken my own rule. In fact, the guest speaker doesn't normally do 45 minutes. But you know, I just want to really say thanks to you all. It's been an incredible year. It couldn't be where it was without every person who's attended and shared, and even people that there's a number of people I know who haven't been able to attend any all year, but watch them back or listen to them back and share thoughts or come on to guest speaker once a year, and then that's all they can do. But it all helps grow it and build it and everything else. So yeah, I guess for the last 15 minutes, please do jump on. Are there any topics people would like to see next year? Is there anything that people would like to see in terms of a change to the way that it works, or I guess just any thoughts on 2024 as a whole and what people have enjoyed or not enjoyed, if you want to be that cruel, basically. So yeah, please, if anybody has more around data from ACLAT, absolutely fine. Steve, do please come on.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I think it's been incredible. Doing a wonderful job. I mean, you cover all and every subject. You have some great speakers. I just wish we could get more residents on, but I don't know how to do it.
I mean, genuinely, I mean, we look back 12 months ago. We have one maybe that was coming along semi-regularly, and now I think it's a group of that intermittently. It's not huge numbers, I completely agree. But it's about sharing the voice and sharing the stories. And you know, so Hannah Absalom came on, she shared her work, she brought tenants with her from the work that she'd been doing. Obviously, Steve, yourself and Jim and others and Brian have brought people along with you as you've come along. Kai has been a long-standing kind of advocate and fan and everything else. So we will continually try. And I think it's that thing of just making sure that everyone realizes this is free and open to everybody. If you see it online, if you see it on a LinkedIn page, if you see it wherever it will be, you're welcome. People go, how do I join? It's literally just click the link and register. It's meant to be accessible for everybody. And the more we can
I'll
do.
post it on our website.
Thank you,
I'll
Jim.
post it on the Taurus website, you know, so hopefully that should get some coverage.
I think Matt's done a great job of creating a community that wants to shout about what we talk about and how valuable it is to them. And we know that some organisations include it in you know, as a valuable reference point for kind of new people into social housing, just to really understand the breadth and the variety of things that we talk about and understand. So I think anything you guys can do to share and support the growth of the community, because the more voices, the better. We want to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to say what they think. And it's lovely that people can dip in and out of kind of new topics that just interest them, not necessarily just their day job, but things that cross across the social housing sector. So, you know, I think, you know, Matt and I are both really passionate about bringing as many people as possible. Because I love data, we've got KPIs for how we want, how many people we want to join next year. I say we, I say I have, but that's because we want more people to hear about it, and absolutely, and the reason why we look to kind of the support from the sponsors as well, because we don't ever want to have to charge people to come in and do this. We want it to be a real free forum where we do have that true kind of discussion and debate. And so I think what I would say is just, you know, keep sharing it, keep encouraging your organisations to share it with their tenants. And I know that other people will kind of repost and use that kind of LinkedIn. We got our milestone 3,000 followers, didn't we, Matt, on the Social Housing Roundtable. And actually those are just the people that follow. Lots more people engage because of the repost. So do, you know, without sounding like I'm plugging us now, but I am, do kind of like and share it, because I think more people know about it, the better. So that I think that would help us out loads. So thank you.
I can see Alex has put in the chat that CIH members are crying out for development sessions at conferences, delivering on the new targets. How are we delivering to Arab's Law? Decent Homes 2, handling complaints, those HAs nailing customer service. So that would be something to definitely explore. So thank you. Liz, I could see you put a couple of points in the chat regarding, and firstly, thank you for your very nice words around our enthusiasm, etc. But you said something around more community representation. So by that, do you mean kind of tenants, or are you talking about other communities that we're not engaging with right yet?
Tenants, yes, but also sort of local community-led. So I mean, one of the ones I'm thinking of is Witton Lodge in Birmingham. You know, some there are some neighbourhood forums. So I think it's really important that we don't polarise people in housing, and we need to get more balance in community speaking. You know, there shouldn't be this division. And housing need affects everybody. It's a spectrum. So there's very different, you know, supported housing, offender housing. There's all sorts of things that we could cover, but it's a never-ending menu, isn't it? It never stops. But the targets are an interesting one. I've made my views very clear on that. I've been on TV this week speaking about it. So, or last week, sorry. Yeah, development training. I'd be very interested in getting involved in that. So.
Thank you very much, Liz. I can see Kai's put in the chat there that she looks forward to doing a session next year with the launch of her report, which I can't wait to get on board and to get. Kai, did you want to come on and share some of the news around that, or do you not want to do that just yet? I don't know if she can hear me. I think she's still with us.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I'm definitely not going to put my camera on because I'm not in the position to do that right now. But yeah, we've been talking quite a lot last week, and it looks like we have a rough launch date for the 20th of January. And there's going to be quite a bit of work around that as well. So yeah, I know that we did speak about it before me coming on, and I said to you not yet until the project has come out. So yeah, we could definitely speak about something in January, set up a date for a session.
What the project is about?
It's about ethnic minority voices in tenant engagement structures. There's been very few representation when it comes to ethnic minority voices within the tenant engagement structure. And it was surprising that something that started off as an observation with me attending workshop sessions, conferences, I didn't realize how much it would resonate quite a lot with different organizations who are actually facing the same type of challenges. It also went right the way up to the Ministry of Housing Communities and all of that stuff, which they are facing the same challenges with their tenant engagement panels that they have as well. So it resonated with them too. And it's just the findings that we've got, it kind of speaks towards communication, it speaks to data collection, it speaks to, you know, different forms of engagement that is not just formal, informal. It speaks to resources, finances. So there's quite a lot that has come out of it. And it also speaks to the culture of the sector as well. And unfortunately, where we still are when it comes to the stigma and the stereotypes that a lot of organizations still place on not just tenants, but tenants from ethnic minority backgrounds. And, you know, having the rough data and hearing some of the terminology that staff have used to describe tenants from ethnic minority backgrounds is being absolutely heartbreaking and, you know, disgusting. But that's what you get from, you know, we purposely made the surveys anonymous so people feel more free to actually share their opinions and their thoughts. So it's good in the respect that we actually got this information, and it's actually how people feel and think. But at the same time, it shows the amount and level of work that we still left to do within the sector when it comes to inclusion, equity, and, you know, what is the true meaning of diversity and representation within organizations. So it's been an interesting year, and I'm absolutely so excited to share the findings and the recommendations, and also the principles that I've kind of kept under wraps, and looking forward to not only that, you know, changing the culture of the sector as well, and not just the regulatory standpoint. and also kind of like having that question, which also helps organizations with their regulatory evidence as well, which is something that I never thought that this project would yield that outcome, but it does too. So it just kind of begs the question, how are you evidencing your diversity inclusion for the regulator, which this project also has that kind of supporting framework to it as well. So yeah, as I said, I'm super excited to launch it and get it out there.
Thank you, Kai. And I think it'll be a really interesting session to put together once we've, once we're ready to go, and you're ready to bring it. See in the chat that there was a point that I'd seen and I've just lost it, and that's standard. I've seen some collaboration stuff, which is fantastic. Alex had mentioned the new Procurement Act in February, something on transparency, actually evidencing social value through procurement. We did have the G15 Social Value Week, SVLG, come on and do a lot of really interesting stuff on social value. And there was the same one that did the Asset Management Investment Partnership work. I think social value could be a huge thing this year. It'll be very interesting to see how it all plays out through the course of 2025. Liz has mentioned we have our Social Housing Quality Fund report on damp and mould and tenant engagement for the Centre for New Midlands. That'd be really great to bring on board. Richard's asked for a proactive approach to damp and mould, and Hannah shared some work that they're doing there. And Liz had mentioned I'd like to talk about the lambing report as well. Abiya's death in a housing association property in Birmingham is beyond shocking. How was he not found for 2 years in that garden? Victoria Climbie died, and the lambing report made recommendations that have still not been implemented. A BMA child is more likely to die in social housing than any other demographic. If the lambing report recommendations had been in place, he might have been saved, at the very least would have been tracked. Alex, I know you've got to go. Thank you so much. Jim, a quick one from you, and then I'm going to pass to Elaine for final thoughts, and then we're going to wrap up.
It's only concerning tenants being involved in that. The fact is that I think what needs to be taken into consideration, how many tenants are actually interested and how many are willing to give up the time when it's not being paid for, the time isn't being paid for. And I know most of us do this because we want to make the difference, and that's it, and not for financial gain. But I think the only way you're really going to attract tenants is if it affects them directly. If it doesn't affect them, I don't really think you're going to get maybe that great numbers. So all you can do is keep doing what you're doing, Matt. That's all I'm saying. And just to wish you Merry Christmas to everyone and Happy New Year. And thanks for all you've done.
Thank you, Jim. And I think that's why we try and, as much as we can, keep it broad in topics. And Elaine, I'll pass over to you, but I know that's something that, because on the other side, we want tenants to attend, but we also want chief execs to attend, and we want other people. And so trying to keep that breadth is the challenge, isn't it, Elaine?
It absolutely is, Matt. And I think, just having this session really kind of summarizes, a little bit about, it showcases your passion for the sector, my passion for the sector, and I guess everybody's share kind of interest in kind of doing things differently, or really exploring different solutions and different ideas to kind of how we meet the kind of evolving sector challenges. And I think one of the things we pride ourselves on, I guess, is having that discussion and debate, but making sure that it's not doom and gloom. We want ideas, we want solutions, we want so what's as well. So yes, we know that we're spinning a lot of plates, but there's a lot to be proud of and a lot to celebrate in terms of success. So I think, we really want to keep that balance. And like I think I said earlier, there are some really tough topics that we kind of choose to lean into and don't shy away from without kind of necessarily pointing blame or any kind of negative connotation. It's around how can we learn from things that have gone wrong, how can we get better as a sector. And we are one of the few sectors that truly come together to collaborate, and I think we'll see lots more joint ventures, lots more discussion, lots more best practice next year, because resources will be tight, pressures will be high on getting things right. But actually, how do we find a space out of the day job, off the hamster wheel, to kind of really discuss, debate and get excited about the potential and those opportunities that we can all have a role to play in the sector, whether they be kind of consultants, tenants, peers, colleagues, whatever that looks like, recruiters, all of those kind of things, port drinkers, in fact. Let's be truly inclusive. But I think, a massive thank you for having me, but also a massive thank you to all of our community that come together and bother turning up at 11 o'clock when we're all so busy every Tuesday. We will be back. You're stuck with us. And that's my Christmas message. We ain't going anywhere.
And thank you. And like I say, a huge thanks to Elaine, to Alertical, to everybody who's sponsored this year, and to everyone who's attended. This was born of a place of just wanting to get people together to see what was truly going on, and see what people were really thinking when they potentially had the opportunity to speak in a slightly more informal setting. And it's just grown and grown. And I can't wait to see what comes next year. You know, I can't imagine that one session a week will quell the thirst that most of you have for this now, which is amazing, because it hasn't this year. And we've, you know, even when we're looking at the chat there, so what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? So we'll find a way to make it work. I will run as many sessions as I can. If you want to do in-person ones, let me know. We'll see what we can put together. But for now, a huge happy Christmas to you all. I hope you all have a lovely break. I hope you all enjoy the new year. And we will see you on the 7th of January, where we kick off with the sector risk report. You know, a really nice, slow, welcoming one back in.
Well, I'm excited about it, Matt. Well done to you as well. And thank you for keeping us all engaged and entertained and excited and enthusiastic about the kind of sector. So well done. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas all. Thanks again. Cheers, everybody. Bye.
Bye.